Marvin Bagley was the number one player in the high school class of 2017. After a stellar freshman season at Duke, he declared for the NBA draft and was picked second overall by the Sacramento Kings. He came into this league with some huge expectations as he was expected to be a dominant post scorer and an offensive force that could give you 20 and 10 every night. Now, he hasn't exactly been that in the NBA, and he's one of the more criticized players of that draft class because of the reason he was picked over Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Michael Porter Jr., and more. But his talent is still very evident, and even if he should not have been picked as high as he was, there still is definitely a real chance for him to be an effective NBA player, even if he hasn't been able to do that consistently through his first 3 or so years in the league. But enable for the former number 2 overall pick to revive his career, I do feel he needs a change of scenery. Now, when it comes to Bagley, the flaws in his game are very apparent, and coming out of the draft, the main concern was his defense and shooting. His shooting has most definitely improved in his time in the league, as he has now developed himself into a decent three-point shooter. But as for his defense, still not there, and that is mainly the reason why when Luke Walton was the coach to start the Sacramento Kings season, Bagley was not getting playing time, and he actually requested a trade early in the season, but that didn't materialize into anything, or hasn't yet. So as of right now, he is still in Sacramento, and with the firing of Luke Walton, he has been playing more under Alvin Gentry, the Kings' interim head coach, and he's not putting up crazy numbers. He's only playing 19 minutes a game, averaging around 8 points, and hasn't shot great from three-point land this season. Definitely made an improvement last year in his three-point shot. Did hit a very clutch three-pointer against the Blazers though. But overall, the main problem with Bagley is that he's a post scorer who isn't good enough at that one thing to not be a good defender and be a below average three-point shooter. I think what he would really benefit from is heading to a team that is clearly in a rebuilding stage, such as the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he can play through his defensive lapses and mistakes and have way more scoring freedom on that team, and really just have an easier path towards developing as a player and not as much pressure under him. I also think those similar circumstances could help another member from that 2018 draft class that Bagley was a part of, in Kevin Knox, the top 10 pick out of Kentucky, selected by the New York Knicks. Now, when you look at the characteristics he possesses as a player in the modern NBA, you think, oh, this guy must be an all-star. He's a 6'9" wing who can shoot and can score in various ways, and you'd think he'd be able to play and guard multiple positions. But that hasn't been the case with his NBA career. His defensive instincts have really failed to develop. He's an efficient three-point shooter, but he still isn't an efficient scorer. And on a win now Knicks team that's trying to make the playoffs this season, that has multiple players at his position over him, he doesn't really have a chance to get consistent rotation minutes. Now, recently, with players being placed in COVID protocols, he got a shot, and in 1 out of 2 games, he scored 18 points. He also looked a lot better on defense, but when this team gets back and healthy, he probably won't have a spot in the rotation, which is why, like Bagley, I think he needs a change of scenery. He needs to go to a young team similar to Bagley, like I said, maybe a team like OKC where he can play through his flaws, have a lot more scoring freedom, and he's still just so young, but he has been very disappointing. He looked really good in Summer League and in his first 2 Summer Leagues actually. And as a rookie, he showed some flashes. He didn't score that efficiently, but he did win a Rookie of the Month. And the tools are all there, but he's failed to put it together so far. The next player on this list, I also feel needs a change of scenery, but has not been nearly as disappointing as Kevin Knox, and that's Brandon Clark. He was picked in the 2019 draft and originally in his rookie year looked like a huge steal. As a rookie, he gave the Grizzlies stellar defense along with efficient scoring and great energy. But ever since his rookie season, he has lost some of those minutes to Xavier Tillman, the undrafted free agent big man out of Michigan State. I still do believe Clark can definitely help a team with his excellent defense and efficient scoring. Not so much from 3, but I don't think that's going to end up being the Grizzlies. Unlike the last 2, I do think he could help a team trying to win games right now, as he's definitely a more NBA ready player compared to a guy like Kevin Knox or even Marvin Bagley. He has skills that can immediately help a team in playoff games. He's a very switchable defender. He takes really only good shots. He makes smart passes. Like I said, not a great 3-point shooter, but everything else is there for him, and he has the tools to be, in my opinion, a very valuable player to a championship team. But it seems he's fallen out of favor with the Memphis Grizzlies organization, and in year 3 is still not getting consistent minutes under Taylor Jenkins this season. The last player on this list is the most recently drafted out of these 4, and that is Onyeka Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks. And the center, who is a bit undersized at a USC, was picked last season in the top 10 by the Hawks, who possesses some tools to become an elite defender, but hasn't really gotten much of a chance so far in Atlanta due to a combination of injuries. And Atlanta, they were really good last year, so they were playing important games, and when you're playing in important games and trying to win them, a lot of the time rookies aren't going to play. They also have Clint Capella, who they traded for in front of him, and gave Capella an extension. So there's a hard road to see Okongwu really being a long-term starter on this team. As for his skill set as a player, the 6'9" center out of USC in his second year is seen as a player with immense defensive potential and, a new age center, a modern center who has skills such as passing, a bit of a jump shot that he's still working on, his switchability on defense, which is one of his main selling points. He's also a good rebounder and has a solid post game that he's working on. He was viewed as a project, and it seems like he's going to be that, but I think he could still develop in Atlanta, but for him to really reach that star defensive potential and, maximize his offensive potential, eventually I feel he's going to need to move on to a team where he can have a bigger role and a chance to be the starter. So there are 4 players that I feel need to change the scenery. Drop your comments and thoughts below, and thank you for watching.